You're also on social media. You have your own business. You're working with brands like Adidas, like this fit mother. All under control. What's the truth?
Good question. I had traumas that I had suppressed for at least 20 years. I would also compare myself a lot. I do remember one time going to the supermarket and I was 13 and I was looking for artificially sweetened chocolate as a 13-year-old. And then when I moved to Lebanon, really messed with what are we trying to do? Are we trying to be curvy or are we trying to be thin? That's when I dive deep. Fitness, nutrition, wellness, meditation. During pregnancy, really struggled. I've had this image of this girl who was pregnant with her abs showing. I kept trying to make my body develop in a certain way during pregnancy when I have zero control.
Making you tear up.
Now it's postpartum journey, moving from C-section and being bedbound for so long to getting my strength back.
Now I want to share it with the world. Where was that moment?
I was so burnt out. I'm working from day to night.
How do we start a business around the things that we love doing? And how do we get out of the grind and hustling mode?
You can't just put whatever and hope it works. You have to think about the hook. You have to think about the solution and explanation.
Baraa went from selling $200 courses that burnt her out to making $6K per client. And this is exactly how.
Welcome to a very special podcast episode. Today we have an exciting guest with me, and we will talk about her journey into her expertise, into nutrition, wellness, fitness, everything that she's doing. But most importantly, we want to talk about her story of getting here. A lot of times what we get confused on is, how do we start a business around the things that we love doing? And how do we get out of the grind and hustling mode? So today we will talk about her story and what helps her just to stay balanced, how she can help other women, and what she feels like is the driving force behind her work. And I also want to talk about her brand and how she's become known. She has over 100,000 followers on her Instagram, and she's helping women daily. And the big part about this, as we all know, is not the numbers. It's how many people you can actually impact. So today we talk about how she got here, what her plans are to keep growing, some of her journey so far in the garden mentoring, and what she's learned so far. And I'm super excited to have her here. Hello, Baraa.
Hello.
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam. Thank you for having me. This is really exciting.
Yeah, well, I'm excited to hear your story because I think anytime we talk, I learn so much from you. Mm-hmm. Everyone learns so much from you, from your online presence, your courses, your programs. But there's still so much that we have to unearth, which is your story, your journey behind everything.
Yes, I'm excited to do that.
So give me a little bit of an overview. When you started, where you started, where you are now, what do you feel like the biggest difference is from when you first started with nutrition, health, fitness versus where you are right now?
Wow. Good question. I think I started at a time where I was very confused, excited. I didn't have answers and I was craving answers. I wanted to know everything about nutrition, exercise, wellness. How do you stop chronic disease? Science. I loved the science of where I started as well as a dietitian. And I just wanted to learn more, but was so confused as to how. How do you get results? How do you live a healthy lifestyle? What does it mean? What do you have to do? And that's how it started for me. And then now I think it's just my lifestyle. It's become me. It's something, yes, I preach, but it's something I really practice. And I find so much joy and I've identified with it so much because I love it. I've learned to love it. I've seen the benefits that come with it. I know the benefits that come with it. I've learned it. So now it's a lot less confusion and it's a lot more, this feels good. I know what's good for me. I know how to help others also with the same thing, with feeling healthy, living healthy lifestyles. Yeah. So I think I just started in a place where I was very like, what is that diet? How do you do this? How do you do that? And now at a place where it just feels a lot more natural. Like it's just how I operate almost.
And now you're also in a different like lifestyle or part of who you are. You're a mother now. You have your new mother, first time mother,
Yes.
and it's how has that also impacted like your journey of like not just your knowledge but who you are. You've now embody what you're doing, but how does it show up in all these different ups and downs of life and challenges?
Ryan, my son, he's one now. He centers me actually with a lot of things that I'm doing. I work from home mainly, and he's at home with me. And so it's like I go into different worlds of like working, cooking, doing, going to work out, coming back, and seeing him just recenters me on like what's most important, which is being present, watching him go about life and do things is just one of the most beautiful things. And I feel like a lot of times before I didn't have that recentering moment, even though I would meditate, I would exercise, I'm very mindful. I feel like there's nothing that brings me more to the present moment than seeing him. It's like, oh my God. I love it. I love
I did
it.
that.
I love him.
I created that.
Yeah, it's the most amazing miracle. And it just brings me back to life every single time. Every time I'm stuck in something and he's there, it's like, this is it, you know? And it's so beautiful.
I also want to talk about, because the way that you talk about all the work that you're doing, you're also on social media. You have your own business. You're working with brands like Adidas. There's so much going on that you just kind of like, it's part of who you are, but it's incredible for other people. Like the idea of, we talked about a lot, your unfair advantage. Everything that we see you be, we just think you're perfect, mashallah. We just think like she has
Far from it, please.
All under control. And the way that you do things is so funny because like we had this conversation last week. You did your first 10K after you had your son. And it was just, and you sent me that video, right? And okay, so you were like, Sina, what would you improve about this reel? And I was like, it's too perfect. I mean, every kilometer you're just smiling and laughing.
Yeah.
And it turns out what we thought, you're just like this fit mother. And like, obviously it's insane that you did the 10K like 1 year after giving birth. But we just thought, and with we, I mean me and probably the entire other world, that's just normal. You just go running. You were running before you're giving birth and then after. Now you just got back. And what's the truth?
The truth is I started like 8 weeks ago with the running. Is that what you're talking about? Yeah.
And you're at 10K.
And I'm at 10K. Yes.
Sure.
I mean, listen, the way it's always been for me is you set out on something that's a little exciting to you, a goal.
Okay.
And with this goal, you put a plan and you make it gradual, nothing insane. And I stick to it. I'm dedicated to the things that come up because I believe in results. I believe in like working for what you want, putting in the effort, and then getting it.
Yeah. But where does that come from? How did you get there? There has to be something. Like there's something in your childhood or your story that got you so dedicated to things.
So dedicated. I think that's a hard one. I think I was always interested in how people get results this is from nutrition, not necessarily from childhood. When I came to Dubai, after the US and after Lebanon, I felt like people here, because it's a hub, that you get people from all over the world and you see insane goals and results, and it gets you going. I really believe Dubai gets you going. And I was inspired by what a lot of people do. I'm inspired by athlete stories. Like I'm also a sports nutritionist. So I was very inspired by how do the greats do the things that they do. And so I went into self-development so many times. And from self-development, that's when I saw the dedication, the work, the effort that you need to put in to get results. It's a little bit of also like hustle culture that I gained.
Go into.
Yeah, it's what I gained over the years as well, in terms of like, you want something, you go for it, you set a goal, this is how it is. And there is negativity that comes with that, but there's a lot of positivity that comes with it. And it's achieving goals.
Yeah.
Maybe.
I think that's one of the things that I'm always really after is that you have to have the balance between masculine and feminine, because if you don't have the masculine, you're not going to go after your goals. And if you don't have the feminine, you start getting into hustle, grinding, burnout.
You lose yourself.
You lose yourself. And what do you think? Okay, so you didn't have this discipline in your childhood. It just came when you came to Dubai?
I wouldn't say that I did. I wasn't really into sports. I did sports for like a year in
Apart
middle
from
school.
sports, let's say like work.
In Lebanon, no, I was pretty intense in work. Yeah.
Okay, so let's
Yeah.
talk about all this, because you're just throwing around Lebanon, America, and now you're in Dubai.
Yes,
Okay,
let's go back.
tell us, like, where were you raised? Where did you go after? Like, tell us a story.
Born in Saudi, moved to Lebanon from very young age, lived there until I was about 9 or 10. And then we moved to America, to the US and Michigan. And we lived there around 4 years, and then moved back to Lebanon. Okay. So middle school to a little bit of high school, I did in the US, which is a very interesting time to be there. And then I moved back to Lebanon last 2 years of high school and all of my undergrad. So studying nutrition was in Lebanon as well. And then I worked in Lebanon afterwards for a few years. And there was a lot of learnings throughout the years, and I learned to adapt so quickly to the different environments. I learned how to get along with people, how to network, how to keep my eyes open to different things. And I learned a lot through my parents and the things that they did throughout the years to keep things going, which I always thought was very interesting. But in terms of how I was, in terms of dedication and work before, when I was in Lebanon right after university, my colleagues at the time, we started a business together. They would say I was pretty intense.
Why?
I feel, I don't know. I think I saw that my dad was pretty intense with the way that he did work at the time. And so I just felt like you go into business and like you just hit the ground running and you go. Also, same thing with my mom. She was also working with my dad. So both of them had this like work. And so I just went into it like that as well. Like this is how you go about business.
Yeah. A quick break in between. If you haven't subscribed yet, please click the subscribe button and turn on notifications. And let's get it back into the episode. So how did all the different countries shape you?
Wow. So let's start with the US, because I feel like that's when I was most aware of like the changes that were happening around me. The US helped me be a lot more humble. It allowed me to be a lot more grounded, a lot more natural. And it allowed me to not care as much.
Care about what?
Care about people, what other people think.
Okay.
I can't say that I'm like that now. I care a lot more about what people think, etc. I'm working on it.
Okay.
But the US gives you this I don't really care vibe where I was living. And there was a different thing with food and nutrition, and we can go into that in a bit. But moving to Lebanon, it helps you get fixated on what people are saying, what they're doing, what you look like, your shape, your body shape, the aesthetic. It makes you hyper-focused about money, status. It's very much focused on that. There's a lot of beautiful things that come from Lebanon as well. And its culture and its family and it's all of that. But in the way of like in my character, I feel like those are the two different things that I think I learned during these times. But I can't say this without saying that like being in Lebanon has taught me how to be very quick on my feet, how to network really well, how to hustle, how to go after the things that you want, how to have the right people around you. So Lebanon taught me that, but the US taught me not to care that much, which is interesting.
That's an amazing, I think it's an amazing lesson, especially for a young woman who's, I think especially in, you call it middle school, right? It's like high school.
Middle school and then high school.
Okay, perfect. As Germans, we don't have all these distinctions. Okay, so especially at that time, you're so vulnerable because you are, your body is changing, you're developing into, womanhood. And then every single comment I remember, I think I am a very confident person. I've always been, because my father always told me, like, don't care about people. If people gossip about you, they're just jealous. I have a lot of my confidence from my father.
Oh.
And I'm really grateful for that. But I still remember every single comment that someone ever made about my appearance. Because
Right.
as a young girl, you just fixate on that.
They stick with us.
It just sticks with you. And so whether it's like, oh, your hair is too curly, your eyes are too big, which is like, what a stupid way of like sharing, like all of these things, especially in the nutrition and health and fitness space, what is in now was not in back then, right? So you would be bullied, or like there would be gossip around a certain perfect way of looking, your body looking. And how did that affect you?
In the US, in America, it wasn't so fixated in a negative way. I was developing at that time, and food wasn't a big deal. We would eat quite unhealthy. I was telling you the story the other day. Like, we would so that was my first day in middle school in the US. We were walking to lunch, and then all of a sudden everybody started racing to lunch. And I'm like, what's going on? And then everybody's just, we got to the cafeteria, everybody's just piling up on food, and then, okay, we're done. And then the next day, same thing. The third day, I'm like, okay, I'm in, like it's like food was gonna run out, And then we would go and we would eat this garlicky, buttery bread and nachos and cheese. And that was me for like 3 to 4 years in the US, not caring really about nutrition. Nobody really educated us time about it. And the changes in my body were just fine. Whether I gained weight, lost weight, it doesn't matter. Like, actually, the curvier I was, the nicer it was, the vibe that I got. And then when I moved to Lebanon, that was completely different, because what's nice or cool there is different. It's thinness. It's more, or maybe also when as we're growing older, the body shape changes, and what people seek is also different. So at the time, I remember I had a friend who was like showing how loose her pants are or how thin she is. And those things stick with you. So weird. And when I revisited this, I'm like, what a weird thing, but that sticks with you as a child, and you're like, oh, okay, my pants need to be looser, or I need to be thinner. And I was just curious about that. And then when I would go shopping, or there would be a photo or something like that, it would always be like, suck it in, like, get it straight. And then you're always thinking, oh, there's something wrong with like belly, or like a bit of belly fat, or etc. So I think that shift in what is perceived as nice or healthy, or the goal, really messed with what are we trying to do? Are we trying to be curvy, or are we trying to be thin, or what's going on? And I was curious. And at the same time, the conversations amongst parents and moms' friends and all of these things were about body shape and body image and all of these things. So I was curious, like, how do you do that? What does food mean? How does it play a role in all of this? And that partly intrigued my interest in nutrition later on. But yeah, that's how it was over the years.
And do you feel this was difficult for you at the time to realize, like, how can I have a healthy relationship with all of this?
I do think that I struggled with this, but not too much. I feel like I had a lot of things that I was also busy with. But I do remember one time going to the supermarket, and I was 13, and I was looking for artificially sweetened chocolate. As a 13-year-old, like, what? And what are we talking about? I'm not diabetic. I don't need something like that. But I just thought that, oh, I need to lose a little bit of weight, and this is what I need to do. But to be honest, maybe I bought it and I didn't like it. And I just thought, okay, I don't know what to do with this. And I just moved on, But it was clearly something that was festering in my mind about like trying to lose weight, or not eating any more chocolate, or doing something like that, but not really going for a better alternative, in my opinion. Like, I don't think that's something for a 13-year-old to be worried about or doing at the time. And I'm lucky to not have went down another road with that, like eating disorders or other things that could possibly happen at that age when someone's feeling very vulnerable but don't have the answers of what to do and how to move forward.
Is that a reason why you got into the field?
I think it piqued my interest for sure. I think it told me that, oh, I don't know how to do things, but it's very interesting. How do you do things? Put me in the science. And that was when nutrition was like, okay. And it showed me that when I studied nutrition, it showed me that it's so much more than weight loss, fixation, body image. It completely changed my mind on what it really is. And it's about health, not having chronic diseases, as unsexy as it is, it's about not having heart disease, not having cholesterol. I was very passionate about that when I was in school. I helped my dad with his cholesterol at the time as well. But now it's a little bit different. Yeah.
Yeah. So, okay, so you are figuring out everything from a science perspective. You want to learn it, you want to understand it. But then nowadays, you're not just talking about nutrition, you talk about the holistic aspect of it. When did that come in? When you grew up? What changed in your life that you saw, oh, I think I need to turn meditation into this. I need to get fitness. Where did that come from?
I did fitness for about 7 years with nutrition. And I got the results that I wanted. I was satisfied. But there was something in there that wasn't really coming together.
Okay, let's talk about first, why did you get into fitness the first place? What sparked you to say, I'm going to go for a run or I'm going to go to the gym? Because I can tell you from my life, okay?
Yeah.
I love sports, always. And I wanted to become a professional tennis player, and sports was a huge part of my life. However, I think I got into making sports my daily habit when I was annoyed by things. So when my father would talk about like, oh, you can't do this, you can't do that, or something would happen, I was just like, instead of just screaming into my pillow, I'm going to go for a run. Although it's not like I love running, but in that form, I always know if there's something not regulated in my life, if I need to take out emotions, if I'm angry, I go for a run. What happened in your life where you said?
I started fitness at the beginning just as curiosity into this. I was very curious at the time, curious about nutrition, curious about fitness, just trying to find my place in this world. When there was so many changes happening in my life at the time. There was the move from Lebanon to the US. We changed a lot of houses growing up. We changed a lot of things. My parents were going through their own thing at the time as well, with the separation and all of that. And I felt like at the time I needed something to feel like I fit in, I find myself, I have a safe space. And maybe I didn't know it at the time, but reflecting back, I see that maybe that's what it is. And it's always been the thing that I go to when I'm not feeling well. I know it picks me up. But it's also my constant. I've needed a constant because I've moved a lot. So even though it's okay, so let's say it's Lebanon and then US and then Lebanon again, but in all of these places, we've moved houses like 4 times. And it's a blessing. Yes.
Oof.
I adapt so freaking quickly. You have no idea. You put me anywhere, I go. And I love that. And I think that's a huge part of who I am and why I'm always going after different things, because I feel like I can do it.
Yeah.
Because we moved so many times. But that move did not fulfill a basic human need, I think, which is certainty and stability. As humans, we need that. And I think eventually exercise became the certainty and stability that I need. I take it with me everywhere. If I'm Dubai, I do it 5 times a week, 6 times a week, 7 times if I really need it.
Yeah.
And then if I go to Lebanon, I can do it too. If I go to New York, I can do it. If I go to Japan, I can do it. And it's there for me. It's a part of me that I can take with me everywhere, and it feels safe. And that's fitness for me.
Yeah, that's beautiful. So you got the nutrition, you got the fitness, and it gives you a sense of stability and control that you say, okay.
Yeah, a lot of control. I
And
control the reps, the sets, the weights, the
okay.
progress, which I think is huge.
So how do you measure progress?
Progress for me in fitness changes every single phase of my life. I would say every few years, the way I measure my progress changes. For a certain period of time, it was the weights, like squats. Let's say I was doing 30 and then 35 and then 40 and then 50, etc. So that's how I was measuring progress for a while.
Mhm.
At one point, it was a total aesthetic sort of progress. This is the before, this is the after. I did it, yes.
Yeah.
And then now, progress for me, there was a while where progress was more about sports, so performance as well. Whether it's running, I've ran a half marathon before, whether it's jumping, doing plyometrics, etc., performance. And now it's just been a postpartum journey of just moving from C-section and being bedbound for so long to getting my strength back
Yeah.
and feeling strong, whatever way that looks
Yeah.
postpartum on a mom's body. And I love it.
I want to talk about this because we talked about our expectations going into labor and postpartum. Obviously, you are in the health space, so you had a lot of plans for yourself. You were very prepared, and you still ended up having a C-section.
Yes.
Tell us a little bit about this journey, how you felt throughout it.
The wounds, Sina. This was hard, to be very honest with you, because I put expectations for myself and I did not prepare myself for a C-section. I took like 3 courses about birth, okay? Every single course, there's a C-section module. Skip that because that's not happening to me. I was so headstrong about it that I was truly not ready for a C-section. I labored for 12 hours, and as my husband says, we really fought it. He thinks I fought it too much, the C-section. He thinks I should have just maybe done it the first 2 hours. But
What do you think?
I think I had to do what I had to do. I think I fought, but I did not overfight or irrationally fight for something. I feel like I had a right to try my best, to give myself time. I would have wanted to wait more, but it's hard. You hear so many things. You hear things from a midwife. You hear things from a nurse. You hear things from a doctor. Then you hear everybody has an agenda out for you. Everybody wants you to have a C-section. And you're like, what do I do? And then they scare you. This is risking life for your son. And you're like, game over. Like, what can you do, you know?
That sentence always gets you.
Yeah, they use it. Listen, they have an agenda or they don't have an agenda. The baby is out. Whatever is written is written. And there's always
Making me
hopefully
tear up.
there's always hopefully a next time. And my husband was telling me this weekend, like, Khalas, next time we know what it is, you know, like we're gonna go into C-section. I'm like, I am trying. You know, I'm like, this is not yours or your decision. This is mine and my right, and I will try. But with a little bit less, would I say preparation? With a little bit less expectation and this. I don't know how to explain it, but there was this thing inside of me that I was holding on to so badly that I think I needed to be a little bit looser about, or hopefully be a little bit looser about in the future.
Okay.
Yeah.
First of all, thank you for sharing because I know it's emotional. How
I'm sweating.
how do you feel you have changed through that experience?
I feel a lot more powerful. I feel humbled by the experience. I feel like I'm capable of so much more. Pregnancy empowered the hell out of me. Birth empowered me so much more. It's maddening. And I feel like it's a part of of life that is just the most incredible thing to experience.
How does it change your view and your approach to your work?
It does allow me to take things a little bit easier. Oddly enough, I feel like it's such a big thing that everything else becomes so small. It put things in perspective for me. that this is something so huge, so beautiful, so grand that it's like everything else is okay or is figure outable or so it helps in that.
Okay. Did you ever did you have any problems throughout your pregnancy or postpartum where it comes to like body image and
Oh, yeah.
yeah?
Oh my God, I really struggled with body image. Actually, I brought it to therapy like 5 times, like 5 therapy sessions.
Okay.
I really struggled with my body growing. I did not know what to expect. I don't know why. I kept trying to make my body develop in a certain way during pregnancy when I have zero control over what it's going to possibly look like. But I really struggled. I would also compare myself a lot to other bodies or as someone in the fitness field or a dietitian, how that's supposed to look like. And it's toxic. And I've had this image of this girl who was pregnant with her abs showing that like haunted me. I'm sorry for putting this out there in the world, but it was something I had seen in nutrition when I was studying nutrition that stuck with me. And I'm like, oh, maybe that's how it is for people in the fitness field. Like, what? I'm 30 years old and I'm thinking this, excuse me. Like now, like in hindsight, it's like, ugh, question mark. Going through pregnancy, it was a huge learning curve, how to look at my body and how to just control what you can and let go of what you can't. Control what you can, as in eat healthy, move as much as you can, take care of your health, meditate, relax, chill. Do that part. That's what you can control. What you can't control is how your body is actually going to change and how it decides to hold on to water or how the bump looks. Or what your torso looks like. Like it's not something you can control. How your hips change, how your butt becomes bigger. I don't know. I struggled with trying to make myself look a certain way. I think the first 6 months. Wow, that's a big amount of time. But
That's most of your pregnancy.
damn, yeah, it was a struggle.
How about afterwards? Postpartum.
As in how did I look at my pregnancy body postpartum, or how did I look at my postpartum body?
Well, both. Share both.
So pregnancy body, I look at it completely different now. I look at the photos, I'm like, damn, that's beautiful.
It is beautiful.
Yeah. And then I think, oh, you poor thing. I can't believe you struggled with that so badly. Who cares? Who cares what your bump look like, what your legs look like? The thing is, though, that people say things, mean things sometimes, like, oh, you're growing in your butt or you're growing. Someone said that to me.
Who? Completely
I can't
block.
tell you. Oh my
Completely
God,
blocked from your life.
Unfortunately, I cannot. It's a very close person to me.
Related person or?
It's my mama. She's like, it's a compliment, Habibti. It's all in your butt. I'm like, thanks, Mom.
I mean, I have to say, it is a compliment because I didn't know about pregnancy butt, that it just disappears. Because, all of your weight is like you're pushing your belly to the front because you have to hold it with your back. But in the meantime, you're losing your butt. So I think it was a compliment.
Yeah, she tried. Haram. And I think after that, like a week later, it stuck with me. And I started crying when I saw her. I'm like, Mama, these comments, they're a lot. I can't handle it, because I was already going through my body image, things that she probably didn't know about. So it just triggered the hell out of me. So yeah, there was comments from people that just made me hyper fixated and hyper aware in order not to hear more comments, here is what I will need to do, which is so sad. Like, in my opinion, just be, eat healthy, exercise, do your thing. I'm not about neglecting yourself. I'm not about letting yourself go or not doing the best that you can. No, I'm a disciplined human. We have already established that. I'm disciplined with the way I like to do things. I stick to it. But beyond that, you gotta let go, And that's something I worked on in therapy that helped a lot.
So you feel you're doing nutrition, fitness, and you do therapy, meditation. You feel it's a must to combine those? Why?
I think if you don't, then things aren't linked and you will not stick with it and you will not understand yourself very well. I think well-being is, yes, about your body and your physical health. Yes, it's about what you eat and you put in your body, but it's about your mental state, how you show up. How are you showing up to your workouts? how are you feeling every morning? How do you deal with the rest of your day? I think really matters, because you are either approaching everything with anger, frustration, and then you're like, I don't have time for this. I don't have time for fitness. I don't have time for that.
Mm.
Or you're a lot more centered, relaxed,
Mm.
and able to realize that I need to exercise. I need to do this for myself. And I feel like getting clear on your how what's going on with you really helps, because I also think that when there's so much going on with you emotionally, you let that out in food.
Mm.
So that's where emotional eating comes. And then it becomes very hard for you to be healthy, to eat healthy, to feel okay with yourself. Because when you emotionally eat, you're also very harsh on yourself. You're like, oh, you can't get a grip. Oh, I eat too much of this. Oh, this is not good.
Mm.
And I think when you are able to find out what are your triggers, why are you emotionally triggered, you let go of needing to overeat and to binge and to to lose that control when it comes to food. And I think it allows you to approach fitness in a much easier way. So I think it really comes together so importantly. If I can advise every single one of my clients to like really dig deep and really go inside, it just allows you to approach everything else with so much more ease.
So tell us a little bit how it got into the point where you said, I do this for myself now and I understand the importance and now I want to share it with the world. Where was that moment?
Um, well, listen, obviously with nutrition, you graduate, they're like, here, you need to see clients, let's go. But genuinely, I've always loved helping people. I love seeing their problem and giving them a solution. And they're like, oh my God, my life is so much better. Like, you're not sleeping well. Have you looked into your magnesium? Have you considered a magnesium supplement? And then they're like, yeah, I'm sleeping better. This is amazing.
Yeah.
And sleep is so integral to everything you do the next day. So your food choices, your exercise, your performance. So it's tying these things in together for people that I think is so powerful. And I find that people sometimes don't know that it's something so small that's a pain point that they have that's affecting they're like, okay, I want to fix my nutrition and exercise, but it's like this outside thing that you need to fix that will help you directly with your nutrition and exercise. So it could be sleep. It could be not being happy. You need to go to therapy.
Yeah.
It could be anything else that's going on with you that we need to address in order to do these things. And I find passion in that, because it just kind of like releases a knot and you're like, okay, I can now go about everything else that I want for myself in a much easier way.
So when was for you that moment where you said, I need therapy?
I was listening to a book, I believe Brene Brown, and she talks about vulnerability a lot. And she talks about and also Gabby Bernstein. I don't know if you're familiar with her. She talks about unlocking your potential and living your life at your fullest potential. And in order to do that, you need to release your traumas. And I'm like, what? Okay. What traumas? I didn't even know I had traumas.
Okay.
I had traumas that I had suppressed for at least 20 years that I needed to uncover in therapy. And I had no idea that they were there or holding on to me in every single way. So it was...
Can you give us an example?
Maybe
if you don't mind.
Maybe at a later stage.
Okay.
Maybe at a later stage. But yeah, it was about breaking through. Listen, whether it's about family and breaking through the traumas of growing up and the things that I learned and limiting beliefs that I had, the lack of boundaries that I learned over the years, that I learned to reset and reframe and reprioritize and re-understand what's important for me and how to prioritize myself in the right way without being selfish, but caring for myself and healing my inner child who didn't have a lot of the things that she needed at the time for whatever reason. This work is the work that I needed to do in order to have my own baby. because I needed to know that the inner child and that young child will be okay no matter what, and they will find their way. So I healed that for myself and I worked on it
Yeah.
through therapy, through talking about it. And that's the power that I learned, that when you talk about it, it doesn't have to be with the world. It doesn't have to be something you share with everyone. Just one person, release, let it out, and it'll make it so much smaller. And you'll learn and you'll find your way to heal from it. That was one of the most important pieces of work that I've had to do. And it was through the self-development books that I was inhaling, basically, the first 5 years that I was married. And it was just like, listen, everyone's talking about it. Brene Brown's talking about it. Gabby Bernstein's talking about it. This person's talking about it.
Yeah.
I'm like, let me go see what's there. And I'm all about self-development. I'm about finding myself. I'm about healing. And that was it for me. That was the moment.
I love that what you said to me the other day, and I don't know, I found it so interesting because you told me the moment that you left your house and you got married, suddenly you had time to do all this work, like work on yourself. Tell us a little bit more about that.
Yeah, before, when I was living with my parents, it was beautiful. It's amazing. But I had to be present for other things than just being myself. I had to be present for what was going on with my parents and turmoil and things going on at the time that I didn't feel like I had time to just be. I felt like I needed to exist for others a lot more and to be for others a lot more. I love the idea of existing for others and being for others. I support it. And I think we are all here for a reason to be with others, etc. But there was a lot for me that I didn't have space for at the time. I wasn't given space that I needed for certain things. So when I left my parents' house and I got married and I moved to Dubai with my husband, all of a sudden I had so much time. There was nobody else. And that's when I dived deep and I was like, come on, let's give myself some space. Let's discover, let's release, let's unleash, and let's see where you can go. And I'm all about seeing where I can go and how I can flourish and how I can develop fitness, nutrition, wellness, meditation, business. I really like to see the depth of where I can reach in the best way possible. But I think the thing I'm interested in the most is learning how to be myself as much as possible.
I love that. And I think there's a huge balance because we always talk about the kind of balance between feminine and masculine. The masculine is, I want to achieve this, become better, performance, doing. And then the feminine is being. And you just basically summarize what the perfect balance is. Because it is important that you go for a goal that you're seeing very clearly and you do the action steps to get there. But it's also important that you understand, I'm not doing this to impress anyone. I'm not doing this just for the numbers. I'm doing this to become my future version, the future version of myself. So I love how you shared it. But I also know that coming with the discipline and like grinding and hustling comes also a lot of burnout. So tell us a little bit, how did you experience that?
Listen, I love the hustle. Okay. When I'm in it, I'm in it,
Correct.
Sina. Oh my gosh, you cannot stop me. I will go, go, go. But I will also be a little monster.
Okay.
Okay. You cannot mess with me sort of situation where some people in my life have said they're like scared of me in this.
Okay. Give us an example.
Like I can't play often when I'm in my like go, go, go masculine energy. I can't find humor. I say no to a lot of things. I'm not saying no is.
It's not bad.
Yeah.
Saying no is it's a big feminine trait that we should all have, because the more we say no to things that don't fuel ourselves, the more we can say yes to things we really want and are good for ourselves.
Yeah. I was saying no in order to like stay committed to my work.
That is totally fine.
Okay.
You should do that.
I did, but I didn't make space for balance.
that is where the masculine is overtaking, correct?
Yeah, I didn't make space for the balance of play and all of that. And I don't know what an example would be, to be honest, but I just, when I look back, I see myself as like I'm working from day to night without a lot of fun in between.
Oh, yes. Okay.
You know what I mean?
Tell me more.
And I had like coaches at the time that were very hustle. Gary Vee was very popular at the time. And I was like, I would listen to one podcast. I couldn't go through them. I would listen to one and I'd be like, oh my God, what the hell am I doing? I need to repurpose my content into 7 pieces of content. Like, you know what I mean?
Yes.
It was a lot. And I wanted more in order to have a family and a baby who's very comfortable. When they come into this world, like financially, I didn't want any trouble, this and that, because I've been through that myself and I didn't want that pain. And I did not stop. And then I burnt out, and burning out makes you so passionless about what you're doing. You lose your humanity. You lose your beautiful human element. I feel like I love people so much, but when I overworked myself, I did not like people so much. I felt like everyone was sucking the energy out of me at the time, unfortunately, because I love my people. I love my audience. I love my clients. I think they're such go-getters, and I love the way that they do things, and I love that they come to me, and I love that we can do this together and achieve a goal. But I was so burnt out that I was so done, you know? I needed a break and I didn't know how to take one properly. I would then go to the US for a bit, for like a month or two and disconnect, but I wouldn't really disconnect. I would launch another program.
Yes. A lot of doing.
Yeah.
So here's the thing. There's 2 parts in this. There's number one, you didn't have fun doing the work. So you lost your excitement about the act of doing the things that you were, originally really excited about. And I think this is where the masculine really overtakes us, because the feminine way of doing business is, number one, we receive, right? And that is why the entire concept of, while we so connected, and the garden mentoring is we don't chase, we attract.
I love it.
And apart from this, it's really important that we romanticize our work. I think that's one of the things that we always, like this moment where, you're like sitting in front of your laptop and you try to work and you're in like an office and you just like hear the birds outside and you're just like, oh, I need to work. And you look at the laptop and you're like, where's my brain? What's going on? I have nothing in my brain. But then when you go and take your journal, you go to a cute coffee shop or you go out in the park and suddenly the ideas flow. And that is the idea of we need to romanticize our work. If it's as easy as I will need to get up at 6 a.m. because I need to get some work done, and you just put a candle, you put a nice tea, and you just make it nice and romantic. Or you actually think about making, this is one of my favorite aspects of doing this, is when you're anyways branding, when you're creating content, you make your content your lifestyle. So instead of thinking, I need to create these 7 pieces of content, what am I doing? Like I need to like put this out, which is really good for men, but it just does not work for women. If you have a male audience, it's fine. You just pump out the content. Here's 20% off of my next launch. It doesn't work for women, or as we're doing it. So what we need to do, instead of saying, how can I make my day so beautiful that it's worth recording? And then you just record your day and you have content and you enjoy your time. That's the idea. And it's so much more. This is when you feel like you're not doing, you're just being. And that's when the people will come. Because we talked earlier about the energetics around what you put into your food, how you approach food, and whether you're restricting yourself. And that shows up negatively on your progress and how you show up in fitness. It's the same online. People feel the energy of whether you come on social media, I need to sell this now. I need to launch this. I've created this for the last 3 months. I put so much work into this. You need to buy this now because I know it's good for you.
True.
Or whether we come and say, here's what I have. Here's my story. Here's the content that I'm just creating while I'm living my life. And it's sharing my story and what helped me. Then they will come, because then they feel like, okay, whether one person is watching or 100 or 100,000, you do this for the intention of providing value, not for the intention of some money in the bank account, which is not a bad intention, right? It's really important to have goals, but we feel it if the content was created for that.
That's so true. That's so true. I love the idea of romanticizing work and being in your feminine energy and like vibing with yourself. And that's something I'm so happy I was recently more so able to do. Before that, I felt it was difficult, like with, I don't know, with my house and the office and this and how things were. Whereas now I feel a lot more like I'm able to do it and create that space for myself. But do you feel like that also makes things look a little perfect when you romanticize things?
Here's the balance we need to keep. Number one, you're romanticizing, but you're not changing. Like we're not like, those gurus who book an Airbnb and then act like it's their house.
Ah, they exist.
Yeah,
Okay.
still.
Okay, wow, yeah.
Or here in Dubai, I just rent the supercar and act like it's my supercar.
Mhm.
It's still you're living that's the thing, you're living it, right? But then when it comes to sharing, you do need to share your story. That's why we're here today. So you can actually share a little bit more about, it's not just smiles about the entire 10K run.
No,
But
it's not. It's not. Oh my God. But it's hard, as a millennial. It's hard for me not to like do the perfect thing.
yeah.
I feel like it's embedded in our generation to do the perfect thing. Like when Instagram first came out, it was all about that super beautiful curated feed, right?
Yes.
And so I'm like, okay, perfect. Let's do that. I know how to do that.
Yeah.
And then eventually it became like very Gen Z and super whatever and show up in your PJs and it's cool and it's a mess. And, and then as a
Half-eaten pasta on the plate and suddenly it gets like 100,000 likes.
and you're like, whoa, what did I miss, right? And then now it's like, how do you find yourself in between all of that? But I'll tell you that I've always felt it was in me to just show the easy way of.
Why do you think that is?
I don't know. I've always hid the hardships. Even as a child, as a teenager, I never shared what was going on at home with anybody around me. I was dating my husband at the time. When my parents separated, we were dating, I think, for a year by then. And when my parents separated, I actually didn't tell him. Like I just chose to like leave that out. But then we had a fight and we blew up in the fight and we broke up because I was under so much pressure at home and I just couldn't handle anything else. So I'm like, peace out. This is not happening. So 6 months we didn't date. And then we came back to each other eventually. And then dated for another 6 years and then got married. But the idea is I never opened up about these things. I never showed hardship. I showed that everything was cool, calm, and collected. My mom always cared about things in the facade and everything being under control, and we don't talk about things. And Middle East culture is very like hidden. So it's hard for me to just be like, oh, here's what's going on.
Okay, so this is what I want you to do. Instead of thinking, oh, here's what's going on, you can share, here's what went on, and I'm over it. And this is what I learned.
Yeah, that's always nicer. Because also you don't want to hear people sometimes listen. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Sometimes
like,
you don't
does
want,
anyone else know what we're saying?
Yeah,
I
I don't want to
hate
hear someone's advice. It's not what I'm here for. Thank you.
There's a lot of toxic authenticity going on right now where you just share everything that's going wrong with everything. And I think one of the times where it really bothered me was when I got pregnant and all I saw was negative, like postpartum, you're going to be horrible and your birth is going to be horrible and you're never going to get your body back. And that's just for people with good genetics. And you just look at it and you start believing it. And it's just your entire day is dragged down. And you never want to give someone a negative feeling when they come to your feed. So this is really important that you shouldn't share just for the sake of sharing or like, oh, this is so authentic. Share what you've actually learned from it, because this is the reason why people buy. It's why they convert in terms of followers or clients. It's because they've heard your story. They've heard what problems you solve for yourself. And they want you to solve those problems because that's your track record. That's right. You don't even need clients to show that you have a track record. Yeah. I solved it for myself. Yeah. And so this is the number one reason why I would buy, because I know your story and I know your journey. And it doesn't mean you have to share any private details at any point in time. I kept my pregnancy private until my baby was 3 months old. And then I shared how that went for me. And I only shared it in a moment where I said, now I have actually value to give. And I want to share this because I can see everyone else is struggling with this as well. And
I think
so,
it's hard to hide your pregnancy.
oh, especially when you're posting every day.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
That's what I mean. Like if you're posting and everything is changing, your face even changes and your energy and your fatigue and the way you speak and all of that is hard not to portray on camera. I do get stuck with these things, by the way.
Stuck with what?
Let's say I'm pregnant and like I'm shooting content and like I look different. Like I can't not, you know what I mean? Like I'm uncomfortable with that situation. Like thinking about it makes me uncomfortable.
Yeah. Especially when you have a lot of followers and yeah. Okay. So what I would say is, number one, you can always repurpose content.
Yeah, that's true. I
Like
did that.
so much content that you could just repurpose. How I hid it, honestly, you can like now when you know, like you can see, you can scroll down. You're like, oh, she looks tired. That was also like the first 3 months where it's just really hard in terms of nausea and everything. But honestly, at some point, I mean, for me, it wasn't that difficult because I wear modest clothing, so it's like just flowy and you can't really see too much. Show yourself from the thing up. You don't see too much, and then. It's also you can still be personal without sharing private details because people want to hear your story. They don't necessarily need to know what you eat for breakfast, right? And so it's your mindset. If you don't mind sharing, right? Share that journey that you feel uncomfortable creating content. I remember that someone shared. Someone told me I don't want to create content because my kitchen is a mess and it's not aesthetic and it's not beautiful and I want to rent a studio and make it super perfect. And I was like, just share that if you feel like I didn't want to share this because my kitchen is not aesthetic enough and people loved it. People loved that angle.
It's true.
So
yeah, I find beauty in that as well, in the honesty, but it's you having to look at yourself from another perspective, right? I feel like you have to watch yourself and see what your problem is to then be like, okay, you know what? I can actually address this.
Yes, I can address this.
Yeah.
How is it so far? Because we worked a little bit on your content, and how was your mindset before versus now? Where are you right now?
I would say that there's a lot of positive change in the way that I share my content. And I think it's mainly about the storytelling and it's about digging a little bit deeper. I think since we've been working together, I've been really digging into my why, my passion, what comes behind all of this in order to connect more with my content and the way that I'm sharing it and to add value to people in a different way. I have been doing this for a very long time. So I think this is a pretty challenging case in my opinion, because like I'm not starting from nothing and growing. It's like I already sort of have it and I'm changing the way, or I'm making small changes and seeing how that fits and sits. And I think it's a nice way to go about it, like in terms of storytelling and learning how to do these things a little bit differently rather than just sharing content to share content.
You definitely, like, one of the things that we work on with you is the perfection and sharing what actually came behind. Tell us about this one post that you did, the 10K, and how you changed
That
it.
was so funny, by the way. So I was really proud of this post, okay? Pre Sina. I'm like, this is nice. People are going to love it. And it's basically me running my 10K at every kilometer, just recording what the kilometer was. And when I shared it with Sina, I hadn't shared with her the script or what I had in mind. So she's like, it's all positive. There's nothing that like hooks us to see like what's going on. Why is she doing 10K? Why do we need to, why do we need to care about this? And yeah, and when I told my husband this, I thought it was really funny. Sina told me, you need to add a little bit of a story. Like, why are you doing this 10K? So I actually had to dig deep myself into why did I really run this 10K? What was behind all of it? And it triggered a lot of things when I actually dug deep. I'm someone who's usually very in tune with the things that I do, but because fitness is just a thing for me in my life, I didn't really think it was such a big deal that I was doing this 10K. But this also allowed me to dig deeper on a personal level, which is like, what does this really mean to me? And it coincided with my 1 year postpartum. And it's obviously something that, was a big highlight for me to achieve and to do. When I first delivered C-section, I could not imagine the day that like I would run, because of like the pain and the stitches and the things. I was like, goodbye, never again,
That was another post idea.
Yeah.
You just gave us the hug. When I had my C-section, I could not imagine that day.
I couldn't.
Yeah.
I was in so much pain and my body felt so different and so foreign to me at the time that I couldn't imagine like going on the pavement and going, no, it wasn't a thing. And I did not put the goal for myself to run at the time at all. It just eventually, day by day, as I just showed up for myself, really with no big goal, is how I stumbled upon just running the 10K. Found a program, hooked it up, bought it, did it, followed it.
Easy peasy.
Exactly. And I actually say that in the video. I'm like, easy.
Easy, exactly. So it went from get ready with me to run my first 10K postpartum to us telling actually the story that it was quite difficult to get to that point.
Yeah.
What happened afterwards? You got a message.
I got a message from my sister, which is so funny because I had already ran that 10K and I told her that I'm running this 10K a few times and I told her that I ran it and it was over and like she's like, yeah, great. And then I posted it. And then a few minutes later, I got like ding, 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 like 10 notifications. And I'm looking and it's my sister and I'm like, what's going on? And she's like, hi, B. Oh my God, I'm so proud of you. Really, this is such a huge milestone. I can't believe you did this. You're amazing, this and that. And I'm like, you knew I did my 10K like a while ago. Like, what are you talking about? She's like, your story, it just really made me, feel really proud of like what you've achieved. And I wanted to celebrate you. And I thought it was so funny that she said that, even though like she sees my everyday struggles. She was with me in my C-section. She was with me postpartum every single day for a few months. But we lose perspective on these things unless we tune in.
Yeah, storytelling.
Yeah. So powerful.
So what have you seen change since when we started to where we are now?
In terms of...
Because I think we started with the mentoring. You started with the mentoring, I think, Ramadan. So 2 months ago? 1.5?
Maybe one and a half, almost 2, yeah.
Can you see some changes already on your account when it comes to like interaction, views?
Yes, there's more views for sure on certain content. And I think Instagram is a little tricky game. And it's about, unfortunately, I think there's parts of it that are unfortunate because you can't just put whatever and like, I hope it works. Okay. You have to think about the hook. You have to think about the solution and explanation. And there are certain things that you've shared with me that have helped me structure the way I make my content. Like to think of it more of like a mini little production with a story rather than just whatever is going on. I'm just going to post it. And I think that's very valuable. Because I think it engages the viewers from the beginning to the end, and they're a lot more in tune with it. So the views and the engagement are higher naturally, I think, because of these things.
And one of the things that I just wanted to end the session with is you're also working with brands and you are doing a lot of collaborations, which a lot of people want to do. So share a little bit. Because you have insane prices, mashallah. First of all, I just want to see women see the potential that they have in terms of charging for their work, charging for their expertise. So give us a little bit. You don't have to disclose exactly, but give us a little bit of the vision that people can maybe look forward to.
I hate when women play small. Shoot bigger is my thing. I love brands. And like, I'm not just, I believe brands have the money and I think you deserve it and you're going to put in the work. And they clearly want to work with you because you have the audience, the creativity, the platform. You've worked on yourself as an expert, as a this, as a that. So own up to it. As a woman, own up to that and charge high. And if they say no, there's another brand. And if they say yes, then that's great. Charge higher next time.
I think that's really amazing because a lot of times, and I love to do that whether it comes to brands, public speaking, clients, is the higher you charge, the higher you will be able to deliver as well. Instead of just burning out, having like all these small clients and small like brands and trying to get, give discounts because you're desperate to get the thing, either do it for free to get the testimonial or the brand on your roster, or charge high because you never know what they will say yes to. I remember when I had my first paid speaking engagement, I had like 5 or 6 for 2 years. I did speaking for free because first of all, you have to prove yourself to be good enough, right? You need to prove that you know what you're doing and that you feel comfortable and that you actually like the thing that you want to offer.
Mm-hmm.
And then the next event that talked to me, I was like, I don't actually need this. It's not a huge brand, so let me just ask for like crazy prices. And they said we don't have budget. I'm like, okay, let me just ask anyways. And they got me 4 figures because I was asking for my first speaking engagement, which is literally 30 minutes long. And so this was really where I was like, okay, I just have to ask. I just have to get that.
Oh, yeah.
Take that step.
I've done my fair share of free work with influencing as well. And I loved it. I was so passionate about it at the time. Like, give me anything, I'll do anything. Not give me anything related to health and wellness at the time. Yes, bars, this, that, I was really into it and I did my very fair share with it. And it's just my audience grew. The trust in me grew. My credibility grew as well. And as a dietitian, I felt like I had that power and I could negotiate and I could ask. And I feel like there is just that factor of asking. And there's many times where someone would tell me they don't have a budget for something and I wouldn't. Either I would say no or give them the budget that I want and they would find it.
Yeah, I think one time I said, 5,000. And they said, we only have 800. I'm like, okay. 20 minutes, 800.
Fine, that works.
It's 20 minutes work. Yeah. And that's the funny thing. So I want to know, as we're wrapping up, what is your plan for working with women? Because we all want your knowledge and we all need that balance between nutrition and fitness and health and also mindfulness. So tell us, what's your plan? What are we planning to do with the value that you can give us?
As I'm like reworking a few things in my programs and the way that I've been doing things, I've been helping women for a while and I absolutely love it. And I want to work with more women who want similar things in their lifestyles and achieving things that make them feel good, happy, empowered. And I want to move a little bit farther away from the very obsessed type of like work when it comes to fitness, because that exists in like the bodybuilding world and like the super calculated.
Had to lose 20 pounds in 4 weeks.
Yeah. And the obsession that comes with that. So I do not want to be doing work like that. Rather, I want to work on things that can make you feel really good in your daily life and something that's sustainable and lifestyle based. I do have my app where I share my workouts, my nutrition, my meal plans. I have a dietitian that also helps on board, and we do all of that work together as well as meditation. So I have a whole system that helps women really come to the best version of themselves. And I'm working on a bunch of the details and the way to move forward.
Amazing.
So yeah.
Nice. I'm excited to see your brand grow more because I can see you also charge high when it comes to clients. I want to get you to that point because once you get to that point, you stop like chasing.
I feel bad for my clients watching this.
No. Okay. Because if you put the money in, you will see the results because you know the value of what you're getting and you know the investment that you're putting in yourself.
It's true.
We're investing so much in our clothes, our travel, but what are we investing really in our growth? And I think one of the things that changed the way that I look at fitness is you told me there's a huge difference between people actually growing up and aging in a healthy way versus an unhealthy way.
Oh, yeah.
And that really pushed me to say, I'm investing. I don't care. That evening, I got my green juice package subscription. And so you just telling me that really made me understand I invest so much. And for me, I invest so much in business and in my brand and just working on something where I put this money into my business because I can see the results. It's an investment and I can see it back 10 times in a few months. And so I needed to do that for my health too, because it's what keeps us going. It's what, this is
It's
the
the
thing
best
that,
investment. It's what
yeah.
where you live for the rest of your life, where you spend the most of your time in
Yeah.
and with forever. I do think it's a very crucial investment. I just feel like people struggle with that a little bit with the payment.
You think that.
Yeah, it's true.
But
But listen, I invest
the
in
one,
everything, and I
that's the
invest
thing.
big in everything.
You
So
can choose the clients that you want. And the clients who can't afford you, they still can take all of the free content from your social media, give so much value for free.
it's true. Years of content.
Exactly.
And blog posts and podcasts.
Yeah, there you go. So much value for free. But if we want you one-on-one, if you want you and your time, because you only have 24 hours,
Yeah, and I actually
so much.
haven't been doing one-on-one since COVID, since burnout.
There you go. And I think that is the number one reason where people burn out is because we charge too low. We have affordable prices, or we give
there was
discounts.
a high demand,
Yeah,
and
of
so
course.
like it did not go well together.
Yes.
Then it was like kaput, done.
Well, you just used a German word. So funny.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for joining and telling us a little bit more about your journey. Thank you so much for inspiring also other women to work on themselves, to work on their brand, and to charge high. I love that. If you have any questions on her expertise specifically, you can check out Bara's Instagram. Everything is linked below. And of course, if you're ready to invest in yourself, go ahead and work with her, because I've learned so much already from you, mashallah. Thank you so much for joining.
Likewise. Thank you so much for today, for your time, and for your, beautiful energy and everything that we've been working together. Thank you.
Yeah, and I'm excited to see your growth.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for joining. And if you haven't yet, please subscribe. Assalamu alaikum.